Hello everybody, welcome back to Kanga TV, home of North Melbourne fans, and welcome to the round 3 preview. We take on the Adelaide Crows at Adelaide Oval on Sunday the 30th of March, kickoff 3:20 Melbourne time. Just a few bits and pieces of housekeeping before we jump into today's preview. The first thing is Kanga TV caps are back. I'm so excited to bringing these ones back. They're open for pre-order this week only. Orders will close on Sunday night. I thought what better way to celebrate a big round 2 win than to bring these bad boys back. This was the limited edition sand that wasn't released with the initial drop, but it is now available along with the other 3 designs over on the website. I will leave the link in the description down below. It's been so surreal seeing all of you guys in your Kanga TV caps at the ground over the past couple of weeks at Marvel Stadium. It's a real pinch me moment, and the photos that have been sent across, I couldn't be luckier. I'm so blown away every single day by the support you guys give me and give the channel, so I cannot thank you enough for that. The second thing is, you will notice behind me that I officially have got a little bit of a setup going. It's not finished yet. I do need to play around with it a little bit, but we have started to get a bit of North merch and memorabilia in the background. I'm going to have some lights and things coming in the next few weeks, and things will be looking a little bit more Arden Street around here. Finally, and most importantly, for Sunday's game, this Sunday, I am going to be hosting the first ever live stream on Kanga TV. Corey McKernan, dual premiership player and club champion, will be joining me for the live stream, the live watch along as we take on Adelaide. We'll be commentating throughout the game. We'll be having a really great chat. Hopefully going to have a few special guests join us as well, some stuff to give away. This is the place to be. If you're not at Adelaide Oval on Sunday, then Kanga TV is the place to be. We'll be streaming from 3 p.m. Make sure you come in, you say hello to other North fans, to Corey, ask some questions of our guests and him. We'll be more than happy to facilitate and answer all of those. Okay, that's done. Let's get on with the preview. This is the first time since Monday that I've sat down to film a video. It is Thursday evening, and this video will be up on Friday, tomorrow morning, ahead of our game against Adelaide on Sunday. And I don't know about you guys, but I've just been sitting in this glow over the last few days, and I didn't really want to leave. And that's why I hadn't filmed anything or put any videos out since Monday morning when my review went up of the game against the D's. And I guess if people don't go for North, they might not be able to relate to this, but 90% of people who watch this channel are North supporters. And I just wanted to bask in the glow of the events that took place on Sunday at the ground. This channel is analytical, sure, and opinion-based and fact-based, but when it comes to myself as a football supporter and so many people watching and the general public, I would say it's an emotional game, and we ride emotions so high, especially those who are super invested in the football club or the teams they go for or the game itself. And for North fans, it had been such a long time coming that we'd be able to celebrate a win in that way that I actually just wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to really celebrate it and just sit in what was one of the most amazing experiences I've had as a North supporter for a very, very long time. So I apologize for my absence for a few days. I hope you guys understand, and I hope you guys can appreciate the time that I wanted to take. I'm sure you guys did as well. I haven't even had a chance to watch the replay yet. That's how crazy busy I have been away from the channel, but I wanted to take that time in terms of North Melbourne time and North Melbourne content time to myself to really appreciate it and enjoy it and sit in it. But now we're moving on. So we take on the Adelaide Crows at Adelaide Oval on Sunday afternoon. It's going to be a big game. I mean, the early talk of the town, the early talk of the AFL world over the past few rounds is that Adelaide are looking like very, very, very early flag favourites. And while premierships are not won in March, they definitely have come out absolutely firing to start this season. I don't think anyone would have expected them to come out the way they have. I feel like them and Freo have kind of done a little bit of a role reversal at this early stage of the season. I think a lot of people had Fremantle as flag contenders and really, really hot on their list for 2025. And the Crows, I don't know if anyone really knew where they would finish. Would they finish closer to the bottom of the ladder? Would they be another year of empty promises for them? I feel like that's sort of been the tale for the Crows over the past few seasons, but the roles have absolutely been reversed now. It's a long season and we're only heading into round 3. There's only been 3 rounds played so far if you include opening round, and it's very early to make comments like that, but I feel like that's kind of been the narrative around Adelaide so far in season 2025, these guys look like the flag favourites. These guys look like the team to beat already early on. And fair enough too, they had a massive win at home to start the season off against St Kilda, backed it up with a 10-goal win against Essendon last week at the MCG. Now we go on the road, we face them at home. We've never won a game at Adelaide Oval. We haven't won a game in Adelaide or South Australia for a very, very long time. We've lost both our gather round games over the past 2 seasons. So it's going to be really interesting to see how we go into this game, because I would say that we would be chock full of confidence. I mean, we honestly look like we were really confident heading into that Melbourne game last week. It's probably because the Bulldogs game, albeit we didn't win the game, we were super competitive and we did control the ball for majority of that game. It was a lot of inaccuracy really hurt us. And like I said in my review of the D's game, the game against the Dogs and the way the game against the D's started, we were the ones making the mistakes and we were the ones in control of our own destiny rather than being outplayed or overrun. So I think we should be going into this game with confidence. I think we should be going into this game thinking, yeah, we can beat them. We have taken up to the Crows in seasons past. Last season we played them once. We played them in Tasmania and they just put us to the sword. Despite the fact they were sort of lingering around the bottom of the ladder at the time, they put us to the sword. I think it was like an 8 or 9 goal victory. The one thing I do remember from that game though, and I always think about this moment, is Luke McDonald. After that game, he was still co-captain at the time and he came out and he just put his hand up and said, the footy we're playing at the moment really isn't good enough. And I feel like that game really changed the trajectory of our season, because I feel like in the few games between then and the bye, we were a little bit more competitive. I feel like the results were a little bit closer. And then obviously we all know what happened for those sort of 10 weeks post-bye, the 3 wins, the few really close losses, the real competitive performances, the exciting performances. So I think this game could be a really big one for us. It's actually shaping up to be one of the games of the round. I was preparing for this video and I was sort of having a think about what I would say and what's sort of the storyline going into this game against the Crows. And not only are Nick Larkey and Darcy Fogarty sitting 1 and 2 on the Coleman leaderboard after the first 3 rounds of the season, neither of them played in opening round, mind you, but North and the Crows are dominating a lot of the competition in terms of the key team stats. You've got disposal efficiency. North is the most efficient team in the competition at the moment in terms of using the ball, which is quite outrageous to me, as I feel like we were overcooking the ball a lot in the game against the D's last week. Very high on the goal kicking accuracy and goal kicking percentage as well when entering the forward 50. That's not something that North has really been known for, particularly last season. Adelaide, they're having a really, really good kick mark game. They seem to be running the ball really, really well. High for disposal. So there's so many different key stats where both North and the Crows feature prominently, and I think that would be a test to the high attacking football they're both trying to play and the fast sort of moving football are both trying to play. The Crows with the most marks in the competition after 2 rounds would say to me they're having a lot more luck controlling the football, and the results that have come for them over the past couple of weeks would probably reflect that, and I'd say that probably is true. So it's an interesting one heading into this week's game, because early on they almost look like the 2 informed teams of the competition, despite the fact that we're only 3 rounds in. And while I know it's early to make remarks like this, you can kind of only go with what you've seen. And there's been a lot of talk internally and externally around North and what we're doing and how we're looking. So I think it's an exciting time to be a North fan. And I think this is going to be a big test, no doubt, not just given the way Adelaide started to the season. I think we should have confidence in ourselves and in our game and back ourselves in that we can take it up to them. But it's just the history, I guess, of the clubs and the performances over the past however long at Adelaide Oval. In Adelaide, we have not won there, like I said, for a very, very long time. So that is a really, really interesting one. I think for me, the best result would be us to be really competitive for 4 quarters. And I'm not saying that we're not going to be able to win the game, because I absolutely don't think that. I think we win every game and I always think we're a chance. But I feel like last week proved to me, and I've said this a couple of times now, that we are the masters of our own destiny. And you think that if we play 4 quarters or at least 3.5 quarters of really solid competitive football, if we can control the ball, make smart decisions and just not faff around with it, like just kind of get to the point a little bit, then you'd think that we would be every chance to win, because those 11 minutes to start the 4th quarter against the D's, that football, and while it's not sustainable over 4 quarters necessarily, but that football is good enough to beat just about any side in the competition. Adelaide included on Sunday. And I think that we just really need to do what we can to bring the game onto our terms as best as possible. A lot of that will be a confidence thing, and I think we will be going into this game with a head steamed full of confidence. So anything can happen. I really feel like anything can happen. I feel like we just need to do our best to back ourselves in, back the team in, and give it a red hot crack. Moving along to the team changes, and I am not having a sensational meltdown about the extended interchange ban for the second week in a row. It's just not happening, and it was probably unnecessary last week as well, but that was a response in pure shock as to what I saw on that extended interchange bench last Thursday. But Riley Hardiman, Callan Dawson, and Finbar Maley round out an extended interchange bench. We'll find out the final side later this afternoon. Griffin Logue is the obvious one missing there. Clearly hasn't come up right after that injury he sustained against the Bulldogs in round 1. My gut would say no changes. I think that's the obvious thing. You don't mess with perfection. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, etc., etc. We only had 2 forced changes last week heading into the game against the D's. Every single player on Sunday played their role and played it to perfection just about. Given the result that we walked away with, I would be very reluctant to change that. The only thing structurally that maybe leaves me a little bit concerned is that Adelaide do have quite a dangerous forward line. They've obviously got Riley Thilthorpe in there. He is just a monster in himself. They've got Rankin, they've got Fogarty, and they've also got Dan Curtin. So it's a very tall, dynamic forward line. Now, our back line is already undersized. Aiden Core, he plays taller than he is. And then Toby Pink is a really good height. Charlie Comben isn't a one-on-one defender, and we know that he's best intercepting and just allowing him to kind of roam free. So I wonder if we look to bring in a 4th tall defender, but then I think the trade-off there is we'll probably be too slow, and we don't want that. Callan Dawson, I think, would be a good addition to this backline if that's the way we wanted to go heading into the game. But again, I think I'd probably be reluctant, especially because Darcy Tucker and Luke McDonald aren't exactly the quickest blokes in the world either. So I feel like we probably would be doing ourselves a bit of an injustice. It's a bit of a you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because they've got so many dangerous tools, but then we don't necessarily have the cattle to keep up with them. We don't have speed in the tall defender department. So I think it's a bit of a struggle. It's like, do you want to go for height or do you want to go for speed? It's sort of, what do you want to do there? I think the key, if we were to bring in a Callan Dawson, say, and someone like a Darcy Tucker would make way, then we really need the midfield to step up in terms of their pressure, in terms of playing the ball very much on our terms and flooding the backline and helping us with the tackling and the pressure. The same way Jai Simpkin did against the D's or Tom Powell, because if that's the way we go, sure, we've got the personnel to cover the height, but then we need someone on the ground. So that's probably the only change I would make, and that's a structural thing if required. Otherwise, probably reluctant to make any changes. I love all those 3 guys, and I think they'd all be great additions to the side, but this is a benefit now where we have depth and we do have guys that are going to start challenging for spots in the best 23, and it's you got to make the most of your opportunity in there, because it could come quick and fast, and then you could be out the door much quicker and much faster than you were actually included into the side. And that's a good thing. It comes with growth, and it comes with the depth that we are starting to develop at this AFL level and in the list that we've got. So that's probably my gut feeling, is that there's no changes, and if there is a change, maybe it's something structural. I don't think there'll be any omissions for any reason other than that, but I guess we'll find out the final side later this afternoon. Moving away from Sunday for just a moment, another big story that has come from the club this week is reports we have offered Brayden Maynard a very, very lucrative offer to join North Melbourne. Lots of figures have been thrown around, but the one that caught my eye came from Fox Sports, a reported 5 to 6 year deal worth approximately $1 million a year. It's just a eye-watering amount of money and a very, very long contract for a guy who I do think would be a great addition to our side, but not for that amount of money and not for that amount of time. That's kind of all I have to say on that matter at the moment. No, I'm kidding. Look, he would be a really, really good addition to the side, because in reality, if you're looking ahead beyond the next 12 to 18 months, Jackson Archer is the one lockdown mid-sized defender that we have on the books at the moment that is a lock in our best 23. Otherwise, everyone else's spot is roughly up in the air. You've got Luke McDonald and Darcy Tucker, who a lot of fans would call for their head almost every single week at the selection table. Both have had a very good start to season 2025, and I both think right now they have a spot in this side. But Luke McDonald in particular might be starting to think about life after football. Darcy Tucker, I don't know how disposable he is, and I say that with the greatest respect. I really like Darcy, and I think he does add something to the side, but I think that Brayden Maynard has been a really, really good player at the elite level for a long time. And I think just based on skill and based on what he could offer our side, I think he probably jumps the queue ahead of both of those guys at this stage for me. And then you look at the likes of a Miller Bergman or a Josh Goda. Josh Goda has just been injury plagued his entire career, and it's hard to know if he'll be able to get his body right to be able to play at AFL level consistently. And then Miller Bergman has really struggled with form and has struggled to break into the best 23. And when he does, he isn't able to hold it. Also largely due to injury, but maybe he's making the most of his opportunities when he gets there. So it's an interesting one to watch. I think the general consensus is he's going to stay at Collingwood, and I would probably expect him to stay at Collingwood too. And while I do think that North have to offer overs in terms of contract length or money or both to bring in players, I just don't know if I'd be doing that on a guy that's in his late 20s. He's going to be, 29 this year? Which, it's not old, but in AFL world, that is heading to the later parts of your career. And we all know the impact that Jack Darling and Luke Parker have had on this side already in the first few rounds and in the off-season since joining North Melbourne. But I think we do need to start thinking about maybe experience coming from a slightly younger profile, because the likes of a Zerha, the likes of a Larkey, they're already in their mid-20s. Griffin Logue is also in his mid-20s. So these guys are sort of starting to approach the ages now where they should be able to hit their prime on field and lead us. And they'll be getting the experience around them now. They should be able to be absorbing these good leadership qualities. And if we start winning as well, and if our form sort of starts to hit a more positive trajectory, then all these things should start falling into place for us. We don't need to call on the likes of a Brayden Maynard at a crazy amount of money to bring him across. Sure, you want to go for an older guy, for the experience, for the leadership. You can figure that out. A couple of years, decent money, but not hitting $1 million a year. So that's probably where I sit on that one for now. I think he'd be a good addition. I just don't know if he's worth that money or contract length. It's definitely one to wait and see and have a bit of a watch along. I don't know if the end of the story has hit us just yet, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did develop over the next few months. But if he stayed at Collingwood, that's probably what I think will end up happening, unless these crazy numbers do come to fruition. That is all from me. How do you think North is going to go on Sunday against the Crows? Leave all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Like I said, if we can just put in a really competitive 3.5 to 4 quarter performance, then anything really is possible. Don't forget to catch all the action here on Kanga TV. Join Corey McKernan and myself from 3 p.m. for our live watch along. We're going to have such a great time. We're really looking forward to meeting all of you and chatting with all of you. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. We'll have some guests. We'll have some prizes. It's going to be an epic afternoon here on the channel. Don't forget, we can continue the conversation over on socials. Kanga TV show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can also send me an email. Don't forget Kanga TV caps. They are available on pre-order. They must close on Sunday, so if you want to grab one, get one. The link is in the bio for that as well. I can't wait to see you guys on Sunday. I can't wait to see you guys for the final word as well. I will see you then. Go Roos.